This week on Anvil of War, War Dogs!
Anvil of War! Let's talk tactics!
Hey guys, if you like what you're seeing, you can go ahead and click that icon on the bottom right hand corner of your screen, and it'll subscribe you to Anvil of War to get more great content. With that said, we're going to move on to Let's Talk Tactics, War Dogs. This is one of my all-time favorite units to use in a Chaos Knights army. It's the cheapest unit we get to use. It's basically our equivalent to a troop choice almost. They're a great model, a lot of fun to use. I'm going to go ahead and real quick and break down the stats for you guys. So we got 14 inches of movement, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 6, toughness 7, 12 wounds with 4 attacks, leadership 8, and a 3+ armor save. Going over the equipment options for the War Dog, the way I have mine equipped now, it's got a thermal spear, which is 30 inches of range, assault D3, strength 8, AP -4, damage D6 with the Melta rule. It's also got a Reaper Chain Cleaver, which has 2 different modes. You can either strike, which is ×2 strength, AP -3, flat damage 3, or you can sweep, which is good when using against hordes or infantry. And it's got AP -2, damage 1, and you make 2 hit rolls for each attack made with the weapon. In addition, you can also take your standard heavy stubber or Melt-A-Gun on top. Another way to equip the model, which I personally don't own, is to give it the War Dog autocannons. The War Dog autocannons are 60 inches of range. They're heavy 2d3, strength 7, AP 1, damage 3. And when resolving attack with a weapon, you do not suffer a penalty for moving and firing. Going over some of the special rules for the War Dog, so you've got your standard explodes rule. It's also got the Ion Shield just as every other knight, giving it a 5+ invulnerable save. It's also got Vehicle Squadron, so if you take a unit of 3, you can set all 3 up at once during your deployment phase. When I run a War Dog, I really like to have them in an Iconoclast household. This is because you're getting an additional attack as well as an additional AP -1 on all of your melee weapons. So when you're sweeping away those pesky Primaris Marines off an objective, having AP -3 and an additional 2 attacks every time you fight is really going to help you in the combat phase. Additionally, looking at some of the custom households that you can use with the model, I really like to go for Harrying Packs. This is brand new and it's part of Engine War from Psychic Awakening. And what this does is allows you to shoot, charge after you've fallen back. You are going to get -1 to hit in the shooting phase when you do this, but having an armigers that are very mobile and able to do this kind of movement is very useful. The other one I like to take with it is called Abominable Constitution. I've talked about this one in previous videos, and it remains one of my favorite traits to this day. It gives you +1 movement, and you're always going to be moving on your top bracket. This gives War Dogs a hefty 15 inches of movement, meaning that they can get across the board where they need to be really quickly, regardless of how many wounds they're at. One of my favorite ways to utilize this is you'll have an armiger that's, say, on just a couple wounds left at the very last couple turns of the game, and you can kind of bounce it back to an objective that might have been abandoned, or you're able to shoot an enemy off it late game, and it can just bounce right back to that objective across the board, and it's very, very helpful. In terms of the different stratagems that are available for this unit, there's one out of the main book and one that just came out in Engine War. In the main book, you've got Pack Dogs. For 1 command point, after a War Dog has successfully finished a charge move, any other War Dogs within 12 inches can re-roll failed charges. This is a nice one because often one War Dog won't be enough to finish the job, so having multiple engaged in combat is really going to be beneficial to you. Another one that I think is a little bit underwhelming, but should be mentioned nonetheless, is available for House Commentus. And what this is called is Encircling Hounds. Prior to the game, you can pay 1 command point to essentially put a single War Dog in an outflanking position. So during the game, you can set it up within 6 inches of any battlefield edge, as long as it's more than 9 inches away from other enemy units. The biggest downside to this is you don't get to take advantage of the vehicle squadron rule, meaning that you're only sending up 1 war dog as opposed to 3. Moving on to how I personally like to field these units in my army, I like to run at least 3 of them at once and run them in an iconoclast household. I think that's where they're really going to get the most out of their melee potential. And I really like to use these sort of as a flanking unit, moving up the sides of the battlefield to support my main knights. If possible and you have room for it in your list, it's definitely a good idea to include a Knight Desecrator, which I want to do a video on soon, to give them rerolls. So you're really, you don't have a lot of sources of rerolls in Chaos Knights, so having this around to help those War Dogs is very beneficial to you. That's my personal preference on how I like to run the War Dog. If you guys have your own ways that you like to use them, or maybe different strategies, especially with, the ones with autocannons and things like that, definitely let us know in the comments. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more Chaos Knights content.
Sponsored by...
If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, you bunch of filthy heretics. Click that little button down on the bottom right, and it'll subscribe you for more great content. I'm going to start that one again. That was cool.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it. Yeah.
War Dogs!
War Dogs!
All right.
Are you guys going to blur my face or what?